Welcome to this how to play video for the Acts. We are going to walk through a two-player game with you to show you how it works. So to begin the game, each player takes their pieces, disciples, the little meeples, churches, the cubes, miracles, the cards with the flames on the back, in their color. Then they also will receive prayer points, starting with the first player, in this case red for this game, gets 1 prayer point. And then the blue player will be player 2. They get 2 prayer points. In a 3 or 4 player game, so on, an additional prayer point for each seat. Now, to place the people on the board, you'll be putting all the disciples in Judea, 12 of them to start the game, split evenly between the players. In this case, 6 each in a 2-player game. So, the rules for each region are very straightforward. In fact, they can fit on a playing card size player aid. There are 6 different actions available in each region, plus the ability to travel between the regions. So, we've got everything set up here. Let's go ahead and get started. So on the first turn of the game, red is first player. They get to take a disciple, and they're going to choose to preach. Now, when they preach here, they're going to take that top disc, move it off the stack. Since it's a light, it's going to move over to prayer. If it was a dark disc, it would just be taken out of the game. Now, there were 3 discs in the stack, and so they get 3 plus 1, which is 4 believers added. And that's the standard rule. Anytime you're preaching or praying, it's based on the number in the stack plus 1. Now, blue gets to go next. Blue, they're going to choose, what do they want to do? They're going to travel. So they're going to put it here on the travel space to Achaia, which would arrive in Achaia at the end of the turn. And the space itself has a 1 printed on it, which means it costs 1 prayer point to use that space. So they expend 1 prayer point. Now it goes back to red's action, and it'll bounce back and forth until all disciples have acted. Red's next disciple is going to choose to travel. Now he's going to travel up to Galatia, and that's a free space. Then blue is going to take another action, going to travel up to Cilicia. And that's another space, no number on it, so no cost associated with that. For his next action, red now is going to pray. Praying, there's 1 disc there, so you have 1 disc plus 1, 2, and he gets 2 prayer points for praying for prayer points there. So he collects 2 prayer points, and then it goes to blue's action. Now blue, he's going to choose to pray as well. And you might say, oh, how can he pray too? So prayer is unique, as it says in the player aid. An unlimited number of people can pray on any given turn. All other actions are 1 person per space. So he's going to pray. He's also going to get 2 prayer points because there's 1 disc in the stack. So he gets his 2 prayer points there. And now it goes back to red's action. Now for red's next action, he's going to decide what does he want to do here. Why doesn't he go and he'll travel. He'll travel up to Cilicia as well. Goes back to blue. Blue has another disciple to use. He's going to decide to church. He's going to plant a church here, and by doing that, that's going to get one of his cubes, which are churches, put on the board. The cost to plant a church is 3 prayer points plus 1 prayer point per church already on the board that you've planted. So in this case, just 3. It's his first church. He pays the 3 prayer points. He moves his marker up 2 believers. That's a set amount regardless of how many churches you have. You get 2 for planting a church. Now, in the future, he will gain bonuses to preaching and praying in that region, in this case, Judea. So now we go back to red. Red has another action available. They're going to choose to pray again. So that's another 2 prayer points. So now they've got a total of 5 prayer points over there. And then we're back to blue, and with this disciple, they're going to decide to once again travel, this time up to Cilicia again. 3 travel spaces to Cilicia, lots of travel spaces out of Judea for those first turns. Then red, with their last disciple for this turn, they're going to go over here. This is the miracle space. Now, on the miracle space, that will allow them to use one of these miracle cards. And so they're going to look through. Each of the miracle cards has a prayer point cost on it. They're going to look through those different cards, and they're going to decide, hey, I'm going to do Spiritual transport. So spiritual transport allows you to move a disciple from one region to another. So they're going to pay the 3 prayer point cost of that miracle. So 3 prayer points expended. And then they're going to get to move a disciple from a region. Right now everybody's in Judea, to any region they want. And they're going to choose to move that disciple up to Thrace. So they're going to take one of theirs, they're going to take it off of the prayer space that's already acted. Now if it's already acted, they go on to the same space in the new region, so we place them on the prayer space there as if they've already acted there in Thrace. And then that is Red's last action. Blue's final action for this first turn. Not many options available, but we'll show you what the writing option does. This one gives you a benefit for your churches. You earn 1 believer per church plus a prayer point or extra believer. So they'll take 1 believer and a prayer point. So they move up 1 space, get a prayer point, and now everyone is acted. All the boxes everywhere on the board are empty. So that is the end of the turn. We take all disciples who are moving and they arrive in the box of the region they were traveling to. So over there, over here, all the way to Achaia. The 3 going to Cilicia all arrive in Cilicia. And then everyone else who's in a region and is on a space within the region go back to the box of that region. So the vast majority going back here to Judea still on the first turn. And then the last person there who was miraculously transported to Thrace goes back to the box in Thrace. So that was the first turn of the axe in a 2-player game. Now turns will continue like this, going on back and forth, taking actions until the certain set point is reached, in this case 85 believers. We're going to now fast forward a bit to about turn 4, maybe turn 4 or 5. And welcome back to the future. Here we are now, it's say turn 4 or 5. They've gone a while. You see they've added more believers there in the scoring track. There are disciples spread to all 6 of these different regions on the board. And, there's a lot more discs taken off the board, moved to prayer spaces from people preaching repeatedly over the turns. A number of churches have been planted. Every region now has a church planted. Blue has 4 of them out there. Red has a pair of churches as well. Each of them have a few prayer points. They've used up a couple other miracles along the way. And so everything is ready now for the game to continue on here at this later stage. So here's another turn of the game, and on future turns, whoever has the fewest believers will go first. So in this case, Blue. So now they are available to use a disciple in any region to act in which they have one. So they don't have to go from Judea because they have people all over the board at this time. So for Blue's first action, they're going to look and see where they can have the most impact here. And that's going to be their person there in Thrace. And they're going to choose to preach in Thrace. So if they preach in Thrace, there's a couple discs left there. They're going to take off the top one. It's dark. They also have a church there, which gives them that bonus of +1. When you plant a church, it gives you a bonus in the region. So they get their believers added. And then it goes over to Red's turn. And Red is going to look and see what they can do that's going to be of value here. They're going to take one of their people from Achaia. They're also going to preach there. There's still a couple discs there. So they're going to take, again, the top disc. Top disc is dark. Away it goes. They get a couple believers added as well, but not the bonus for a church because Blue has a church there. Red does not have a church in Achaia. So not as powerful as what Blue just did. Now you go back to Blue. What region are you going to act out of now? So going to take one of the people here from Galatia. And this time here in Galatia, they're going to write. They have 4 churches, as we said. So that's 4 believers plus either a prayer point or an extra believer. So they're going to take their 4 believers, and then they're going to take the prayer point to go with it. So they got an extra prayer point there. And then it's back to Red. So Red still has a number of disciples on the board. And right now they're looking where's the best move to make. And they're going to choose over here Cilicia. And Cilicia, they're going to go up there to preach in Cilicia. Again, it's a dark disc taken off. Again, Red does not have a church there in Cilicia, but they do get the 3 believers added, just because there were 2 discs, 2 plus 1, 3 believers added. So we're back to blue, and this time they are going to perform a miracle. Now they're looking through the miracles they have remaining, and they have a lot of prayer points to use. So right now they're going to choose to perform Raise the Dead. Now, Raise the Dead is a nice one. Costs 5 prayer points. That's all 5 of the prayer points I have there. And what it's going to do is allow them to get an extra disciple that they can use that same turn in that region. So they get an extra disciple in Judea. Plus, they will add 4 believers. And as I said, all 5 of their prayer points is the cost that they need to expend to perform that miracle. So they got their disciple. There they go, 1, 2, 3, 4. Jump into the lead here temporarily. And that was their action. And they'll now be able to use that other disciple later in the turn. They don't get 2 actions in a row, but they get an extra disciple out. And then we're back to red, who's going to be acting there in Galatia, preaching. They take off that disc. It's light, so it goes to the prayer. And because they have a church there, they get a total of 3. 1 disc plus 1 is 2, plus church is 3 believers added. And then back to blue. Now, blue here has a few different people still left in various regions around the board. And blue decides it's going to be a good time to pray because there's 2 white discs there, plus he has a church. So if he prays, 2 plus 1 is 3, plus 1 from the church. That's 4 prayer points for praying there in Judea. So taking advantage of that to get 4 prayer points back. And then passing the turn over to red for their next action. And they still have a handful of people here as well. In Judea, red is going to also pray. Praying, of course, unlimited number of people can perform. Only 3 prayer points for red, though, because they don't have a church there. Now it is going to be blue's turn again. And blue's going to act here in Cilicia. And they're going to go up there and do another miracle. So they have a variety of miracles, and this time they're going to perform signs and wonders. Now, signs and wonders is a nice miracle. It has a cost of 4, which they just got as far as prayer points go, and it earns you believers per region with disciples in it. That's 5 regions at 2 believers per region, so that's 10 believers added. So we go over here, mark up 10 extra believers for blue player. Now we're back to red. Blue's got a little bit of a lead now as far as the believers go. Red still has a couple regions there with disciples available. So they're going to decide here to act out of Asia, where they got a pair of disciples. There they're going to go, and they're going to do some preaching, take off that dark disc once again, gain their believers, and the extra bonus for having the church there in Asia. Now blue up here in Achaia has people still. I'm going to use one of those in Achaia. And here in Achaia, they're going to go out here. And blue says, well, I'm going to write here because that's a good way to earn some extra things for my churches, my 4 churches, so I can get my 1 prayer point and 4 believers added. Red's action once again. And this time they're going to go back to Asia. And this one here in Asia, they are going to perform a miracle themselves. Now they're looking through here. They liked what blue just pulled off. So boom, signs and wonders again. They have 4 prayer points to do that. And they have disciples in all 6 regions. So that's 12 believers added. So nice jump there to regain the lead over the blue player. Now passes on to blue, has their final person there in Achaia, and that final person in Achaia deciding, hey, I'm just going to go here and I'm going to pray, and I get my 2 plus 1 for my church, 3 prayer points added in. Now we have red's final action here in Thrace. They are just going to choose to write. They only have 2 churches, however, so that's 2 believers and a prayer point or 3rd believer. They will take the extra prayer point because they still need some prayer points as we move into the next turn of the game. Now, that's all the actions for this turn. So this was probably about like turn 5. A game normally lasts around 7 turns until you reach that marker. It's at 85 for a 2-player game. Notes here where exactly it'll be based on player count. So at the end of this turn, like the end of the first turn, everybody goes back to a box. No one's traveled this turn, so everyone is just in a region and ends up back in the box from their region. And so we work around, bring them back, Judea, Cilicia, Galatia, over here in Achaia, up there in Thrace, and over there in Asia. Everyone is back in their box. And now you would continue with the next turn. If you see the scoring, blue is still behind, has the fewer believers, so they would get to go first this next turn. And then as soon as someone reaches or passes that marker at 85, that triggers end game. You play through the end of that turn. All disciples still get to act in that turn, but then that will be the end of the game. So conceivably, you can end the game immediately if you pass that marker with the very last disciple to act. Then no one has a chance to do anything else. So hopefully you have enjoyed this quick walkthrough of how to play the acts, and have seen that it's fairly simple. You have, again, 6 actions in each region, the same 6 actions, and the ability to travel between regions, and I hope you enjoy the game. Thank you.